Nathan Carter was a man who had it all, or so it seemed. As the CEO of Carter Dynamics, one of the most successful tech companies in the country, his life revolved around billion-dollar deals, high-stakes decisions, and a reputation for being unstoppable. But behind the polished exterior of his professional life, there was one thing Nathan couldn't escape: the relentless pressure from his mother, Margaret Carter. "Nathan, you're 35 years old. You've built an empire, but what's the point if you don't have someone to share it with?" Margaret's voice echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of her expectations. She wanted him to settle down, to find a wife, and to live the picture-perfect life she envisioned for him. But Nathan wasn't interested in being pushed into a relationship for the sake of appearances. Tired of the constant nagging, Nathan decided to take an unconventional step. He created an anonymous profile on a dating app, introducing himself as Ryan. He avoided sharing any details about his real life, no mention of his wealth, his company, or his high-profile status. For once, he wanted to connect with someone who saw him for who he truly was, not for what he represented. But at first, the conversations on the app felt shallow and uninspiring. But just as Nathan was about to give up, he received a message from someone named Sophia Bennett. Her sharp wit and genuine charm immediately caught his attention. Little did he know this virtual connection would change his life in ways he could never have imagined. And so the story begins. Could a relationship that started in the virtual world survive the challenges of the real one? Stay tuned to find out. Nathan didn't expect much when he first joined the dating app. Most of the conversations felt forced, superficial, and frankly exhausting. But then, one evening, a notification popped up. "Sophia Bennett has sent you a message." Her first message wasn't like the others. It wasn't a generic "hi" or a compliment about his profile picture. Instead, it was a playful jab at one of the quotes he had included in his bio. "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans? Really? That's the best you've got?" Nathan smirked as he read it. Finally, someone with a sense of humor. He quickly typed back, "Well, I didn't realize I was being graded on my bio. What would you suggest instead?" From that moment, their conversation flowed effortlessly. Sophia was unlike anyone Nathan had ever met. She was witty, confident, and refreshingly honest. She didn't try to impress him with over-the-top compliments or fake enthusiasm. Instead, she shared stories about her life as a freelance interior designer, how she juggled tight deadlines, demanding clients, and her dream of one day working for a prestigious design firm. For Nathan, their late-night chats became the highlight of his day. He found himself looking forward to her messages, laughing at her jokes, and opening up in ways he hadn't done in years. As Ryan, he didn't have to be the powerful CEO with all the answers. He could just be himself. Sophia, on the other hand, was equally drawn to Ryan. There was something about his sincerity and humor that made her feel at ease. She had been on the app for a while but had never felt this kind of connection with anyone. Ryan wasn't just another guy trying to impress her. He was real, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in getting to know her. One night, as they were chatting about their favorite childhood memories, Nathan typed, "You're different from anyone I've ever met, Sophia." Her reply came quickly. "Maybe it's because I'm not trying to impress anyone." She added a winking emoji at the end, and Nathan couldn't help but smile. As the days turned into weeks, their conversations grew deeper. They talked about everything: dreams, fears, favorite movies, and even the little things that made them happy. For Sophia, Ryan became a source of comfort and joy in her otherwise hectic life. For Nathan, Sophia was a breath of fresh air, someone who saw the world in a way that inspired him. But as their connection grew stronger, so did Nathan's guilt. He knew he wasn't being completely honest with her. He wasn't just Ryan, the laid-back guy she thought he was. He was Nathan Carter, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. And while he loved the freedom of being anonymous, he also knew that the truth would eventually come out. One evening, as they were chatting, Nathan decided to take a leap of faith. "What do you think about meeting in person?" he typed. "It's time we turn these messages into something real." Sophia hesitated. Meeting someone from the virtual world was always a risk, but something about Ryan felt different. She trusted him in a way she couldn't explain. After a moment, she replied, "Let's do it." Nathan's heart raced as he read her message. He quickly suggested a quiet dinner at a small restaurant far from the prying eyes of the media. He wanted their first meeting to be about them, not about his corporate world or his public image. Meanwhile, Sophia was equally nervous and excited. She spent the next few days preparing for their meeting, wondering what Ryan would be like in person, but just as she was finalizing her plans, an unexpected email landed in her inbox. "Dear Miss Bennett, we are pleased to invite you for an interview at Carter Dynamics. Please find the details below." Sophia couldn't believe it. Carter Dynamics was one of the top companies in the industry, and landing a job there had always been her dream. She immediately shifted her focus to preparing for the interview, reviewing her portfolio, and rehearsing her answers. The day of the interview arrived, and Sophia put on her favorite navy muley blazer, the one that made her feel confident and professional. As she stood in front of the mirror, she took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "You've got this." Little did she know, the man she was about to meet at Carter Dynamics was the same man she had been pouring her heart out to every night. Sophia arrived at the towering glass building of Carter Dynamics, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. This was her chance to finally step out of the world of small freelance gigs and into the career she had always dreamed of. She clutched her portfolio tightly as she walked through the sleek lobby, her heels clicking against the polished floor. "Name?" the security guard asked, glancing at his clipboard. "Sophia Bennett. I have an interview at 10 a.m., she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. After a quick check, the guard directed her to the 20th floor. As the elevator ascended, Sophia took a deep breath, mentally rehearsing her answers to potential questions. She was determined to make a good impression. When the elevator doors opened, she was greeted by a professional-looking woman with a clipboard. "Ms. Bennett, welcome to Carter Dynamics. The CEO will see you shortly. Please have a seat," the woman said with a polite smile. Sophia froze. The CEO? She had expected to be interviewed by a design manager or someone from the creative team, not the head of the entire company. Trying not to let her nerves show, she nodded and sat down in the elegant waiting area. Moments later, the assistant opened the door to the CEO's office. "Mr. Carter, Miss Bennett is here," she announced. Sophia stood, smoothing her blazer as she stepped into the office. The room was spacious and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. But what caught her attention wasn't the view. It was the man standing by the window, his back turned to her. When he turned around, their eyes met, and time seemed to stop. It was him, Nathan Carter, her Ryan. Sophia's breath caught in her throat as the realization hit her like a tidal wave. The man she had been chatting with every night, the one who made her laugh and dream, was standing right in front of her. And he wasn't just anyone. He was the CEO of Carter Dynamics, her potential future boss. Nathan's expression mirrored her shock. He had been reviewing his schedule that morning only to notice a name that seemed oddly familiar, Sophia Bennett. He had brushed it off as a coincidence. But now, seeing her standing in his office, he knew the truth. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with tension and unspoken emotions. Finally, Nathan broke the silence, his voice barely audible. "Sophia." Her name on his lips felt both familiar and foreign. Sophia swallowed hard, trying to process the situation. "Ryan?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Nathan winced at the name. He knew this moment would come eventually, but he hadn't expected it to happen like this. "I can explain," he began, his usual confidence faltering. Sophia shook her head, her mind racing. The man she had trusted, the man she had opened up to, had been hiding the truth from her all along? "Explain what, exactly?" she said, her voice sharper than she intended. "That you've been lying to me this whole time? That you're not Ryan, but Nathan Carter, the CEO of this company? Nathan took a step closer, his tone soft but urgent. I didn't mean to lie to you, Sophia. When I created the profile, I wasn't trying to deceive anyone. I wanted to connect with someone without all the expectations that come with my name. Sophia crossed her arms, her emotions a whirlwind of anger, confusion, and hurt. And when were you planning to tell me the truth, or were you just going to keep pretending? Nathan sighed, running a hand through his hair. I was going to tell you, I just didn't know how. And then, when I saw your name on the interview list this morning, I realized I couldn't keep it from you any longer. Sophia looked away, her mind still struggling to reconcile the man she had grown to care for with the man standing in front of her now. This is, a lot to take in, she said finally, her voice quieter. Nathan nodded, his expression filled with regret. I understand, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but please believe me when I say that everything I shared with you as Ryan was real. None of it was a lie. Sophia didn't respond. She couldn't. Her emotions were too raw, too tangled. The rest of the interview passed in a blur. Nathan tried to maintain a professional demeanor, asking her questions about her portfolio and her design philosophy, but the tension between them was palpable. Every word exchanged felt loaded with unspoken meaning. When the interview finally ended, Nathan stood and extended his hand. Thank you for coming in, Ms. Bennett. We'll be in touch. Sophia shook his hand, her grip firm despite the storm of emotions inside her. Thank you, Mr. Carter, she replied, her tone formal. As she left the office and stepped into the elevator, Sophia felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. The man she thought she knew was a stranger, and now she didn't know what to believe. Meanwhile, Nathan stood in his office, staring at the door she had just walked through. He knew he had a lot to make up for, but he wasn't sure if Sophia would ever give him the chance. The days following the interview were a whirlwind of emotions for Sophia. She had been offered the job at Carter Dynamics, a position she had dreamed of for years. But accepting it meant working under Nathan Carter, the man who had been both her confidant and her deceiver. After much deliberation, she decided to take the job. It was too good of an opportunity to pass up, even if it meant facing the awkwardness of their situation. On her first day, Sophia walked into the office with her head held high, determined to focus on her work and keep things professional. But the moment she stepped into the sleek, open-concept workspace, she could feel the weight of Nathan's presence. His office, with its glass walls, loomed at the far end of the floor, a constant. Nathan, on the other hand, was equally on edge. He had been thrilled when Sophia accepted the position, but he also knew that their unresolved tension would make things difficult. He wanted to give her space, but at the same time, he couldn't help but watch her from afar, admiring her focus and determination as she settled into her new role. The first few weeks were a delicate dance. Nathan kept his interactions with Sophia strictly professional, addressing her only during team meetings or when absolutely necessary. Sophia, for her part, avoided being alone with him, always finding an excuse to leave the room if the two of them happened to cross paths. But despite their best efforts, the tension between them was palpable, and it didn't go unnoticed by their colleagues. Rumors began to circulate around the office. Whispers of a possible connection between the CEO and the new designer spread like wildfire. Sophia could feel the curious glances and hear the hushed conversations whenever she walked by. It made her feel exposed, as if her personal life was on display for everyone to see. One afternoon, during a team brainstorming session, the tension finally boiled over. Nathan had assigned Sophia to lead the redesign of the company's main office space, a high-profile project that would showcase her skills to the entire organization. But as she presented her initial ideas to the team, one of the senior managers interrupted her with a dismissive comment. "I'm not sure this concept aligns with the company's image," he said, his tone condescending. "It feels a bit amateurish." Sophia's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but before she could respond, Nathan spoke up. "I disagree," he said firmly, his gaze locking onto the manager. Sophia's vision is exactly what we need to modernize our brand. I trust her judgment, and I expect the rest of the team to do the same." The room fell silent. Sophia glanced at Nathan, her emotions a mix of gratitude and frustration. While she appreciated his support, she couldn't shake the feeling that his defense of her would only fuel the office gossip. After the meeting, Sophia confronted Nathan in his office. She closed the door behind her, her arms crossed as she faced him. "Well, did you do that?" she demanded. Nathan looked up from his desk, surprised by her tone. "Do what? Defend me like that in front of everyone?" she said. "I can handle criticism, Nathan. I don't need you stepping in and making it look like I can't stand up for myself." Nathan leaned back in his chair, his expression softening. "I wasn't trying to undermine you, Sophia. I just wanted to make it clear that I believe in your work." Sophia sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I appreciate that, but you have to understand how it looks to everyone else. People are already talking about us, and this is only going to make it worse." Nathan stood, closing the distance between them. "Let them talk," he said quietly. "I don't care what they think. What matters to me is that you know how much I respect you both as a designer and as a person." Sophia's heart ached at his words. She wanted to believe him, but the hurt from his initial deception still lingered. She shook her head, stepping back. "This isn't about what you think, Nathan. It's about me trying to do my job without feeling like I'm under a microscope." Nathan nodded, his expression filled with regret. "I understand. I'll back off. But please, don't doubt for a second how much I value you." Sophia didn't respond. She turned and left his office, her emotions swirling. She wanted to move past the hurt and confusion, but it wasn't that simple. Every time she looked at Nathan, she saw glimpses of the man she had fallen for, the man who had made her laugh, who had listened to her dreams, who had made her feel seen. But she also saw the man who had lied to her, who had kept his true identity hidden until it was too late. As the weeks went on, their interactions remained strained. Nathan kept his promise to give Sophia space, but his feelings for her were impossible to hide. He found himself lingering in meetings just to hear her speak, or taking the long way through the office so he could catch a glimpse of her at her desk. And despite her best efforts to keep her distance, Sophia couldn't ignore the way her heart fluttered whenever their eyes met. One evening, as Sophia was working late on the office redesign project, Nathan appeared at her desk. He held 2 cups of coffee, setting one down in front of her. "I thought you could use a break," he said, his voice soft. Sophia looked up, surprised. She hesitated for a moment before taking the cup. "Thanks," she said quietly. Nathan sat down across from her, his gaze earnest. "Sophia, I know I've made mistakes, and I know I've hurt you, but I want you to know that I'm not giving up on us. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust again." Sophia stared at him, her emotions a tangled mess. She wanted to believe him, but she wasn't sure if she could. For now, all she could do was focus on her work and hope that time would bring clarity. Nathan knew he had to do more than just apologize with words. If he wanted to rebuild Sophia's trust, he needed to show her through actions that his feelings were genuine. He spent days thinking about how to prove his sincerity without overstepping her boundaries. Then, an idea struck him. Sophia had mentioned during one of their late-night chats, as Ryan, that she had always dreamed of working on a project that would allow her to fully express her creativity. She had grown tired of small, uninspiring freelance gigs and longed for the chance to design something meaningful. Nathan realized he could give her that opportunity, not as a way to win her over, but because he truly believed in her talent. The next morning, Nathan called a meeting with the senior leadership team. He proposed a bold new initiative, a complete redesign of Carter Dynamics headquarters from the ground up. It would be a massive undertaking, requiring months of planning and execution, but Nathan was confident it was the right move for the company and for Sophia. "I want Sophia to lead the project," Nathan announced, his tone firm. The room fell silent. One of the senior managers raised an eyebrow. "With all due respect, Mr. Carter, she's only been here a few weeks." Don't you think this is a bit premature? Nathan didn't waver. I've seen her work, and I trust her vision. She's exactly what we need to bring this project to life. The team reluctantly agreed, and by the end of the day, Sophia was officially named the lead designer for the headquarters redesign. When Nathan informed her of the decision, she was stunned. "Wait, you want me to lead the entire project?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Nathan nodded, his expression serious. "You're the best person for the job, Sophia. I believe in you." Sophia didn't know how to respond. Part of her was thrilled at the opportunity. It was exactly the kind of challenge she had been waiting for. But another part of her couldn't help but wonder if Nathan's decision was motivated by more than just her talent. "Are you sure this isn't personal?" she asked cautiously. Nathan met her gaze, his voice steady. "This is about your work, Sophia, nothing else. You've earned this." Sophia hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, I'll do it." Over the next few weeks, Sophia threw herself into the project. She spent long hours sketching designs, meeting with contractors, and presenting her ideas to the leadership team. The more she worked, the more she realized how much she loved the challenge. For the first time in years, she felt truly inspired. Nathan, true to his word, kept his distance. He attended the project meetings but let Sophia take the lead, offering support only when she asked for it. He watched from the sidelines as she blossomed, her confidence growing with each passing day. But Nathan wasn't done proving himself. He wanted to show Sophia that he understood her on a deep level. He remembered the little things she had shared with him as Ryan. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Sophia returned to her desk to find a small envelope waiting for her. Inside was a handwritten note. "I know you've been working hard, and I thought you could use a little inspiration. Check your inbox, Nathan." Curious, Sophia opened her email and found a message from Nathan with an attachment. When she clicked on it, her screen filled with photos of her favorite design styles, modern, minimalist interiors with clean lines and natural light. There were also images of projects she had mentioned loving during their conversations, including a boutique hotel in Santorini that had always been on her bucket list. Sophia's heart softened as she scrolled through the photos. It wasn't just the gesture itself that touched her, it was the fact that Nathan had remembered. He had listened to her, even when she thought he wasn't paying attention. The next day, Sophia approached Nathan in his office. She held the note in her hand, her expression unreadable. "Thank you," she said simply. Nathan looked up from his desk, surprised. "For what?" "For this," she said, holding up the note. "And for the email, it meant a lot." Nathan smiled, his voice gentle. "You deserve to be reminded of how talented you are, Sophia. I just wanted to make sure you knew that." Sophia nodded, her emotions swirling. She still wasn't sure if she could fully trust Nathan, but for the first time, she felt like they were moving in the right direction. As the weeks went on, their interactions became less strained. Sophia began to see glimpses of the man she had fallen for, the man who had made her laugh and encouraged her to dream. And Nathan, for his part, continued to show her through his actions that he was willing to put in the effort to rebuild what they had lost. One evening, as they were wrapping up a late meeting, Nathan turned to Sophia and said, "I know I've made mistakes, and I know I have a long way to go, but I want you to know that I'm not giving up on us. Not now, not ever." Sophia didn't respond right away. Instead, she looked at him, her heart torn between caution and hope. "Let's take it one step at a time," she said finally. Nathan nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. One step at a time. Months passed, and the tension that once defined Nathan and Sophia's relationship began to ease. The redesign project was nearing completion, and Sophia had proven herself to be not only talented but also a natural leader. Her confidence had grown, and with it her ability to navigate the complexities of working alongside Nathan. While their relationship remained professional on the surface, there were moments, small, fleeting moments, when the connection they once shared flickered back to life. Nathan, however, wasn't content with just fleeting moments. He knew he wanted more. He wanted Sophia to see that his feelings for her were real, that he wasn't just the man who had deceived her, but also the man who had fallen for her, deeply and completely. And so, he began planning something special, something that would show her just how much she meant to him. One Friday evening, as the office was winding down for the weekend, Nathan approached Sophia's desk. She was busy reviewing the final design plans, her focus so intense that she didn't notice him standing there, until he cleared his throat. "Hey?" he said, his voice soft. Sophia looked up, startled. "Oh, hi, what's up?" Nathan hesitated for a moment, then held out an envelope. "I know you've been working nonstop on this project, and I thought you could use a break. Open it." Sophia raised an eyebrow but took the envelope. Inside was a plane ticket and a handwritten note. "Pack your bags, we're leaving tomorrow morning. Destination a surprise." She looked up at him, her expression a mix of confusion and curiosity. "Nathan, what is this?" "It's a chance for you to take a step back and breathe," he said. "You've been working so hard, and you deserve a break. Trust me, you'll love it." Sophia hesitated. The idea of going on a trip with Nathan felt complicated, but at the same time, she couldn't deny the excitement bubbling up inside her. "Okay," she said finally, "but this better not interfere with the project." Nathan grinned. "Don't worry, everything's under control." The next morning, Sophia found herself boarding a private jet with Nathan. She still didn't know where they were going, but as the plane took off, she couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. Nathan, seated across from her, seemed unusually relaxed, a small smile playing on his lips as he watched her try to guess their destination. After a few hours, the plane landed, and Sophia's jaw dropped as she stepped onto the tarmac. They were in Santorini, the picturesque Greek island she had always dreamed of visiting. The whitewashed buildings, the sparkling blue sea, the golden sunlight, it was even more beautiful than she had imagined. "Soon," she said, her voice filled with awe. "How did you—" "You mentioned once that this was your dream destination," he said simply. "I thought it was time to make that dream come true." Sophia didn't know what to say. She followed him to a luxury villa overlooking the caldera, her heart racing as she took in the breathtaking view. It was perfect, almost too perfect. Over the next 2 days, Nathan and Sophia explored the island together. They wandered through the narrow streets of Oia, sampled local cuisine at charming tavernas, and watched the sun set over the Aegean Sea. For the first time in months, Sophia felt truly at ease. She laughed more, smiled more, and allowed herself to enjoy the moment without overthinking it. On their final evening, Nathan led Sophia to a secluded spot on a cliffside, where a small table had been set up for dinner. The setting was magical. Candles flickered in the gentle breeze, and the sound of waves crashing against the rocks below filled the air. As they finished their meal, Nathan stood and extended his hand to Sophia. "Come with me," he said. She took his hand, letting him guide her to the edge of the cliff, where the view of the sunset was even more spectacular. For a moment they stood in silence, watching as the sky turned shades of orange, pink, and purple. Then Nathan turned to her, his expression serious but filled with warmth. "Sophia," he began, his voice steady, "I know I've made mistakes, I know I hurt you, and I'll always regret that. But being with you, talking to you, working with you, seeing the way you light up when you're doing what you love, it's made me realize something. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." Sophia's breath caught in her throat as Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "I don't want to spend another day without you," he said, dropping to one knee. "Sophia Bennett, will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes as she looked down at him. For a moment she couldn't speak. She thought about everything they had been through, the lies, the tension, the moments of doubt, and then she thought about the man standing in front of her now. The man who had worked so hard to prove his love, who had listened to her dreams and made them a reality. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes, I'll marry you." Nathan's face broke into a radiant smile as he slipped the ring onto her finger. He stood, pulling her into his arms as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting them in a golden glow. In that moment, everything felt right. The day of the wedding arrived, and it was nothing short of magical. Nathan and Sophia had chosen to keep the ceremony intimate, inviting only their closest friends and family. The venue was a stunning garden overlooking the ocean, filled with blooming flowers and twinkling fairy lights. It was the perfect blend of elegance and warmth, reflecting both of their personalities. Sophia stood in front of the mirror in her bridal suite, her heart fluttering with excitement. Her dress was simple yet breathtaking, with delicate lace details and a flowing train that made her feel like she was walking on air. Margaret, Nathan's mother, entered the room, her eyes welling up with tears as she took in the sight of Sophia. "You look beautiful, my dear," Margaret said, her voice soft. "I've never seen Nathan so happy. Thank you for bringing out the best in him." Sophia smiled, her own eyes misting. "Thank you for welcoming me into your family." Meanwhile, Nathan stood outside, adjusting his tie as he waited for the ceremony to begin. His best man, his younger brother Daniel, clapped him on the shoulder. "Nervous?" Daniel teased. Nathan chuckled. "Not nervous, just ready. I've never been more sure of anything in my life." As the music began to play, Sophia walked down the aisle, her eyes locked on Nathan's. In that moment, it felt like the world had faded away, leaving only the two of them. When they exchanged vows, their words were filled with love, honesty, and a promise to always support each other, no matter what challenges came their way. As they shared their first kiss as husband and wife, the crowd erupted into cheers. Nathan and Sophia's journey had been anything but conventional, but it had led them to this moment, a moment of pure happiness and love. And as they danced under the stars that night, they knew that their story was just beginning. And that's the incredible story of Nathan and Sophia, a journey of love, trust, and second chances. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more heartwarming, inspiring tales, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, Emma's Stories. We bring you the best stories about life, love, and everything in between. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story on Emma's Stories.